What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back. It's Friday night, man. So you already know what time it is. Friday night live with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast. We go live every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Shout out to my brother Trip Young. He's just getting back from the West Coast. He and I will be getting back together this Sunday as we give you a recap of Week 5 in the NFL, as well as all the latest in sports. Major League Baseball playoffs are in full effect. WNBA playoffs are in full effect. So we got a lot to get into. And obviously, NBA season is right around the corner. My brother Will Gordon will be joining me very shortly. For the next few minutes, he'll be here. So we'll get into some topics. We're going to have some picks, obviously, for tonight, as we always do, as well as anything else that's going on and any questions, comments that come through. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you're following me across all social media handles. Legend in Two Games, completely spelled out. Shoot me a like, shoot me a comment. Any topics, questions, ideas you have for the show, send them over, man. We address everything. We get into everything. With that being said, it is Friday, October 4th. And as I mentioned, we're in the thick of things with the Major League Baseball playoffs. I got to get to that. If you guys tuned in earlier this week, I did a Monday Night Football pregame show. Monday Night Football pretty much went the way I thought. I said originally on my Friday pick, I had the Dolphins at -1, but I was skeptical, and I was leaning more towards the Titans. The Titans won in unconventional fashion because I didn't expect it to turn into kind of the track meet that it turned into, a high-scoring affair. But nonetheless, it went as I thought. Detroit winning and covering the spread. Tennessee handling their business against a Miami team that's banged up. You see my picks across the bottom of the screen right there for Week 5. Week 3, we were great. Week 4, we were shaky. 6-9-1 last week. The push started Thursday night with the Cowboys, so we weren't great there in Week 4. As I mentioned during the Monday night pregame, the price strength of Week 4 for me was that we got when we hit right on some of these underdogs. We liked Minnesota as an underdog. We liked the Colts as an underdog. We liked who else did we have as an underdog? That we liked the Commanders as an underdog. So we were great, but we got to be better this week. So you see the picks. We'll get into the picks as well. I want to start with Major League Baseball playoffs. We talked Monday. I mentioned it then. The American League, I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised by how quickly the Astros got up out of there. I was a little surprised that Kansas City handled business as quickly as they did in their series, and those teams are moving on now. Kansas City's playing the Yankees, and Kansas City beat Baltimore, so now they're playing the Yankees. And then obviously, as I mentioned on the other end, Detroit moving on. They're going to play the Guardians. That's a familiar foe, division rival there. The National League. One of the things I teased on Monday, and I said I thought the National League was going to probably be a tougher, tougher matchups, and it was tougher to predict what was going to happen in the National League because I felt like anybody coming out of this wild card round could be a threat going into the next round. The Braves, unfortunately, by losing that game to the Mets, my New York Mets, they had the draw of having to go to the West Coast to play the Padres. And realistically, it was unfair for them, but that's what happens. You had to play a makeup game. You have a quick turnaround. They had to play a doubleheader on Monday to then fly out to San Diego to play Tuesday in San Diego. Very tough situation for them against a very good Padres team. You saw it right away. Tatis hits a home run early in the first inning. The Padres jump all over them. The Braves never recovered. The Braves tried to put up a better fight in game 2, but it didn't work out. And so now the Padres are moving on to the next round against the Dodgers. Another situation with division rivals, similar to with the Mets and the Phillies. With the Mets and the Phillies, I think these matchups in the National League are very tough to predict. Now, you could tell me, hey, Dodgers, Phillies are the better two teams. They got the opportunity to sit back and get their rotation set. They have an advantage. I agree. I agree with that point. But the reason I think these wildcard teams are such live underdogs in these matchups, one, again, division rivals. But the second part of that is these teams have had to play competitive baseball now for a few weeks. And this is one of the narratives I always talk about when it comes to the Major League Baseball playoffs. Going into the playoffs is very similar to the NFL. NBA is the one that's unique because the NBA going into it, everybody kind of gets this little break before the NBA playoffs start. And so for the most part, teams are healthy. Everybody's gotten a little break and a little rest, and you've known for a couple of days who you're going to match up with. Major League Baseball and the NFL, you want to play all the way through the finish line. You want to have as much momentum going into the playoffs as possible. In an ideal world, especially in the NFL, you want the number one seed. You want to have a bye. But you don't want to be off for too long, and you don't want to go too long without playing competitively. And I think that's the advantage that the Mets and the Padres have. They had to finish out strong all the way through. The Phillies had this division wrapped up for a few weeks. It was just a matter of when they were going to clinch, not if. Kind of the same thing with the Dodgers. The Padres tried to make it interesting, but the Padres really needed a massive collapse for them to win the division. All along, though, the Padres had to keep winning because they only had a 4-game lead in the wild card. And when you had 3 teams that were playing so well behind you, you didn't really have a week or two where you could play bad baseball and still make the playoffs. Ask the Minnesota Twins how they ended and how that worked out for them. So that's why I think these teams are such live underdogs in these matchups because they had to play all the way through. And if you watch the Mets game yesterday, and if you watch the Mets over the last couple months, I mean, they've had the best record in baseball over the last 100 games. Terrible start to the season. They get hot in the middle of the season. They finish strong. They have that dramatic win on Sunday where it looks like they're left for dead. They have a big 8th inning. Then Lindor's home run in the 9th to seal the comeback and win. Then they got to have a quick turnaround, just like the Braves. The difference was they had to travel a short distance. They had to go to Milwaukee as opposed to all the way to the West Coast from Atlanta. But they have that. Then they have the dramatic win yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday's game, it's one of the best baseball games you'll ever see. It had great pitching. It had the dramatics because the Brewers hit back-to-back home runs in the 7th. And then it has the climax of 9th inning, Mets trying to keep their season alive, Brewers trying to close the show in front of their home crowd. The Brewers haven't won a playoff series, and at this point, I believe it's 30-plus years. They haven't won a playoff series. So, and I could be wrong. I got to double check, but I know they have not won a playoff series in a very long time. So you have all these things going on, and then it leads to Pete Alonso, who's probably going to be the second biggest free agent on the market this year behind Juan Soto. And what could be his last game with the Mets? And he comes up and he home run to give the Mets the lead, the dramatics, the emotion spills out of that dugout. And now, if you're the Phillies, your season ended last Sunday. They don't start till tomorrow, Saturday. So the Phillies have had a week off without playing any competitive baseball. And prior to that, they had the division locked up, like I said, beforehand on that. Even when the Mets beat them 3 out of 4 in that final week of the season, the Phillies still had a comfortable lead in their division. So it wasn't competitive baseball. They were just trying to go through the motions and not get hurt leading into the playoffs. And so I still say the Phillies are the better team. This is a familiar foe, so it's not like the Phillies haven't seen anything the Mets will throw at them. Especially, again, the only thing that would be different is Kodai Senga, who's pitching game 1 tomorrow, was out for most of the season. So the Phillies didn't get to see him. But other than that, everything else, they know what to expect. They know how to attack the Mets hitters. They're going to run on the Mets pitching when they get the opportunity to. They're going to try to get to that middle of that bullpen, which, showed itself in game 2 and showed itself yesterday again in game 3. Those are the weak spots in the Mets pitching. So they're going to try to do all those things. But I'm interested to see, again, if they can pick up and match the Mets' intensity in game 1. The Mets have to win one of those games in Philly, just like San Diego's got to find a way to win one of those games in LA. But for both those teams, it's going to be a matter of matching the intensity of your opponent, because now you're in a situation where, again, you haven't played competitively. You haven't had a game that meant something to you or that had to mean something to you for quite some time. And it's cool to sit back and it's cool to rest. But in the game of baseball, you want to stay in as much of a groove as possible. You don't want these long layoffs, because this is really why we see upsets in Major League Baseball playoffs. A team gets hot, their pitching staff gets hot, a hitter gets hot and carries them, whatever the case may be. But then you get that other team that, because it's a condensed sample now of, we got to win. This is the best 3 out of 5 right now. You come out, if you're the Dodgers, you can't afford for Ohtani to be kind of out of rhythm for a game or 2. If you're the Phillies, you can't afford for Harper or Schwarber to be out of rhythm for a game or 2. You need them to be hot. And that's the one advantage that the Padres and the Mets both have. And the same thing in the American League as well. Now, in the American League, it looks more clear. the path looks far clearer for the Yankees. This is one of the things I talked about as well on Monday, where I thought Yankees Astros was probably the matchup that we were going to see at some point. Astros out of the way. Astros have been the biggest thorn in the ass of the Yankees. Now for the Yankees, you get an inexperienced Kansas City team. It's a great Kansas City. But this is one of the moments where you're Kansas City, you're just happy to be here. I know Bobby Wood has had a great season. You would love to capitalize on the momentum you're gaining. But Kansas City, nobody has you in this spot winning. So you're going to hear the term house money used a lot with different teams. They're one of the prime examples. This is house money. This is, we're here. If we play well, great. If we don't, we're happy for the experience. And so in the American League, when you look at it, outside of the Guardians, Detroit's a young team, Kansas City's a young team. Those teams are expected to kind of fold under this pressure. The Yankees, who've been here time and time again, they're expected to perform, and the path is clear. Nationally, it's a much tougher path because I think either one of those, that Dodger Padre series or that Met Philly series could go either way, just depending on if the team gets hot. And we got to see if the Mets can carry that momentum. And I'll say this as a Met fan, I started to come on with my jersey tonight, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold the jersey till Trip Young and I get together on Sunday. But I can't remember. I've been a Met fan all my life, watched a lot of Mets games. Mets haven't had many playoff moments like that. That is the biggest home run in Mets history. And it's crazy to think that maybe the two biggest playoff moments came within the last week. I know the Lindor one wasn't quite a playoff game, but that's the type of impact it had. Because again, look how quickly the path for the Mets changed. If they lose game one, not only do they have to win game two, but it's very possible then that they're going to San Diego, right? They win game two, they got to go to San Diego. So now you go to San Diego, you got the flight out there. Your pitching staff is depleted at this point. You don't know. You're playing, I think, a San Diego team that offensively is far more dangerous than that Brewer team. What you saw from the Mets, I don't know if it carries over against the Padres in a short situation like that, in a best 2 out of 3. In a 4 out of 7, maybe it's different. But in a 2 out of 3, when the Padres had the day off to kind of sit back and watch, and you got to fly across country after playing a doubleheader, you're at a massive disadvantage. But the Mets win game 1. And that Lindor home run should be considered a playoff moment because that's almost the equivalent of a playing game in basketball. That it's really like the Bucky Dent home run for the Yankees against the Red Sox in the 70s, which was a play-in, a winner-take-all type game. So even though it won't be categorized as a playoff home run, I think it had the same type of dramatic effect and the same impact on the team. And then you follow that up a couple days later with the Pete Alonso home run that now Pete Alonso probably could write his own check. I don't see a world or a situation where the Mets could say no to him now after what he's done. With that being said, though, quick predictions for these next couple rounds. And then I'm going to go into some of my picks, some of my thoughts on some of my picks there. I've got, for the sake of I know I'm going to sound like a homer. I got the Mets. I think it just seems like something's going on there. So I got the Mets and Dodgers moving on. And then on the other side, I got the Yankees facing the Tigers in the ALCS. My brother Will Gordon is about to join the live. Will, give me a thumbs up once you're ready. And we'll get you in on the live. But that's what I'm expecting to see in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Again, we got week 5 picks tonight that we're going to get into a little bit. We got some other sports stuff to get into. WNBA playoffs is going down right now. The defending champs, they're on the ropes. They got to win tonight. They down 0-2 in that series against the Liberty. And I know Connecticut and Minnesota playing right now. I'll check on what that score is looking like. Again, Will Gordon, give me a thumbs up once you're ready. The links are up 10 right now in the third quarter on the Suns. As always, Will, going the other way?
Say what? Oh, my bad.
There we go. As we do, as
what
we
do, baby?
Up this time. There we go.
What it do, baby?
Will Gordon, myself, we are the opinionated ones. Will, how you feeling tonight?
I'm good, man. How you feeling, man? It's a lovely Friday up here in my neck of the woods. It's like 72 degrees. It's going to be hoodie weather. Get out on the porch, throw something on the grill.
So it's beautiful today. It was in the mid 70s earlier today when I was outside. But like you said, this is the
Okay.
perfect night to sit out there with a nice little beverage, music
Yeah.
playing. Like you said, maybe get something on the grill. You got your Nats hat on with your Maryland flag in the background. This is a thought that was popped in my head yesterday. I was watching the Mets. How would you rank your love for your favorite teams? Like, what's the number one team that you die hard about? Because for me, just to
Out of
give you an
my,
example, for
out
me,
of my.
it's
That's a good question.
it's the Knicks,
Okay.
it's the Mets, and then it's the Colts. Though I love football more than I love baseball, I was born as a Met fan. I've been a Met fan all my life, so the Mets always gonna have that position. But the Knicks, to me, doesn't matter. Whenever the Knicks are playing, I gotta be locked in. I gotta be tuned in. I'm far more emotionally invested with the Knicks.
Um, I'm kind of the same way, man, because I grew up in basketball. You know what I mean? Like I've like my era of when I grew up. Not to make it about me, but I grew up. I was born in '79, so I grew up in DC in the '80s when it was Washington Redskins. Like you know what I'm saying, 3 Super Bowls in 10 years, that type deals. It was a vibe. It was like a movement, but that wasn't my sport. My sport was basketball. You know, and at the time, all we well, and even still, we had the Bullets. You know, and but that was my team. That was like that's who the Bullets was so bad. That's who we used to in the city and even in the suburbs. We would get that's who you would get free tickets for. You know what I'm saying? Like if you, like they just be giving away tickets to Bullets games. And back and some of my fondest memories of coming up in sports, just not in basketball, period, but in enjoying sports was going to those free games where you would be sitting in the nosebleed, like you know what I mean. You can't see really nothing, but you at least got the experience of being able to watch professionals. Back in those days, they used to have these pre-game, uh, like little I can't think of the word for it, but like you could bring like all the kids that was at the game could come down on the court, and at the time the coach was the late great Hall of Famer Wes Unseld, and he put you through little drills and stuff. You know, like you'd be doing layup drills with West Sunset and stuff like that. Like they were trying to reach the community and that kind of thing. So I've always had a connection to my basketball team that I grew up with, especially since that's the sport that I played and excelled at was basketball. So my affinity and most love out of I guess I should say who my teams are is the Terps, the Wizards, uh, the Nats, and the Chargers. But of course, my first is I think it's got to be my Wizards.
Yeah,
Where
I
you
mean,
at?
I was thinking about that same way. Like I said, I got Knicks on my number one, Mets on my number two, and then the Colts on my third team. It's always going to be the Knicks for me because what you
Clinic
about
is
to
the
say?
word I was looking for, by the way.
Oh
They
yeah,
had
yeah,
these
yeah.
little
No, I know what you
pregame
meant though.
clinics.
Yeah,
That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
but for me, so right, you said you were born in '79. I was born in '83. So I got to thinking about this yesterday because I'm like, when the Mets won in '86, I was a baby. I was young. I was 3 years old. I remember the Mets winning because my mom used to work down in Midtown Manhattan, and she has pictures from the parade. She went to the parade. I remember the Mets winning, but I don't remember watching games. I was 3 years old. I'm sure I was probably just running around the house and not really paying attention to the game. And so when I'm thinking about it yesterday, and I'm like, you live and die with these teams, and then you start to wonder, like, well, where do you place it? For me, the Knicks is always going to be number one because when I really got into sports, right around 90, 91, right? Because I started playing baseball at that around 90, and I really started watching more sports. The Knicks were just becoming good. That was the guy, Pat Riley came over. The Knicks were just starting to get good. And so the Knicks were always the talk of the town as a kid. And that was, to me, I wish that NBA would go back to, remember when the NBA was on NBC and you would have that promo intro and then you would see the towels waving during the playoff games. And to me, that's what I would like, I want to go to a Knick playoff game because the energy just felt different. And so
Yeah.
through my childhood, the Knicks were always so good. It was the opposite. When I was a kid, I went to one Knicks game up until I was like a grown man and started buying my own ticket. And the only game I ever went to, believe it or not, was Allen Iverson's first game at the Garden with the Sixers.
Ooh, wow. Well, that's a good game to go to.
Of course, yeah. My uncle got the tickets because he knew I like AI coming out of college. And it was one of the times I used to spend a lot of weekends with my uncle. It was one of them like, I'm going to get tickets, we're going to go.
What he give you all about? What he give you all about 24 that night?
He went off that night. He almost had 30. Now the Sixers team wasn't good because I think it was just him and Stackhouse on the team. So the team wasn't that good, and the Knicks was still good at the time. But AI was amazing. And it was crazy to see him in person. Now we didn't have the greatest seats, but just to see him in person and see him moving around and see how quick he was compared to everybody else. But baseball was, like you mentioned, for me, because by the time I started going to games, my grandmother started taking us, the Mets weren't that good. Like the Mets were decent, but they weren't good. So we used to be at Shea Stadium all the time. You know, by then, by the 90s, the Yankees are starting to take off and the Mets is an afterthought. Doc Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, them guys were gone already. So I grew up as a Met fan, but basketball was the one. Basketball, and even to this day, I'll lock in. And like I said, it could be a Tuesday night Knick game. I'm going to tune in. I'm going to watch. I'm going to lock in on it. I'm going to live and die with every shot because that's just where the fandom is with that.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking. As I'm watching the match yesterday, and I'm stressed out about the game, and I'm like, yo, this shit gets really crazy how much time you invest into this. And then it got me thinking, like, am I more invested? Like, nah, I'm definitely not more invested than I am with the Knicks. I live and die with the Knicks. But let's get into some shit. Well, which one to? Oh, since we talked about basketball, we would be fucked up to not even mention this. We got to start off by paying our respects to the legend, Dikembe Mutombo, who lost his battle with he had brain cancer and passed away a couple of days ago. Thoughts and prayers out to his family. Obviously, I didn't know him personally, but from everything that we've heard, he was probably a better man than he was a basketball player. Went to Georgetown. Mm-hmm. We know about the Defensive Player Awards, 8-time All-Star, obviously a great humanitarian and somebody who was a great ambassador for the game of basketball, even after his career was over. So definitely thoughts and prayers out to him and to his family.
Yeah, man, it's sad to hear, you know. I mean, as we get older, the guys that we grew up watching are going to start falling, you know. And Dikembe Mutombo, to all accounts, was a great human being, not just a basketball player, but a great human being. I met Dikembe once. When he was at Georgetown. I mean, it wasn't like we kicked it or something like that. But it was me and my homie Jason. I don't know if he's watching. Shout out to Jason. We was at Forestville Mall, and it was Dikembe, Zoe, and 2 athletic trainers walking around the mall, and we were like, you know, you don't think to see that, you know what I'm saying? Like the Twin Towers is walking around at Foot Locker, like just like you are, you know what I mean? But he did a lot of great things for his people. Did a lot of philanthropy and trying to make it better in his homeland, which is all you want for people to have, from people to have the opportunities to give back and do so. Shout out to his family, but yeah, he'll be missed. He was definitely one of the greats to play in the NBA, man. He's one of the top centers we've ever seen.
That's a fact. We talked about AI. Obviously, he played with AI for a short period of time. They ended up going to the finals. They actually was the only team to give the Lakers a playoff loss that year when the Lakers damn near went undefeated throughout their playoff run. And obviously, he got the iconic moment when Nuggets upset the Sonics, the Seattle Supersonics, the first 8 seed to win. Yeah, pause.
Pause. Yeah, that's big time pause. Man, I didn't even realize I was doing it. Hey, yo, until I was doing it, I was like, wait a minute. but for the historians, remember he had the basketball. Yes. It wasn't the basketball. It was a basketball.
He's laying on.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to have to cut that.
shout out to the Kimbe, man, and the family, man. Like I said, man, thoughts and prayers out to
Yeah,
that family. Also, another
that,
legend passed too,
diabolical.
man. Pete Rose passed this week. The all-time hits leader. It's one of my biggest gripes with baseball because baseball, the Hall of Fame and the writers that vote for the Hall of Fame, they really carry this holier than thou persona, as if some of this other bullshit determines if a guy was a Hall of Fame player. Pete Rose, the all-time hit leader by a wide margin. Pete Rose, one of the greatest players of all time, and yet because he got caught up gambling after his playing career, when he was a manager, they still hold that over his head. And it's unfortunate because in the recent HBO documentary, him and his lawyer have been trying to fight to get this resolved with Major League Baseball because one of his fears was they're going to try to recognize me after I pass. And now that's what's going to end up happening. Now he's gone, and now Major League Baseball is going to come off their high horse and make it seem like, we always wanted to make this happen, but we feel the time is right now to enshrine him into the Hall of Fame, which is bullshit.
I can't act like I care about Pete Rose because I don't. It's just
no, it's not. I don't. I think Pete Rose.
Like my whole see, I do have a mentality behind the whole Pete Rose controversy though.
What's that?
Man, we would have been tossed too. We'd have been tossed and all kind of other shit. Like y'all don't get caught too many times. And this y'all one. It's a big one, but hey, y'all trying to keep Barry Bonds out and all this other shit. And
well, I was
rules are rules, right? Rules are rules. That's
no.
I mean, that's what y'all tell me. Rules are rules.
No, of course. No, rules are rules.
So
and I never said that he didn't deserve the suspension or whatever the penalty was. My whole thing on it was Major League Baseball picks and chooses when, again, they want to be by the letter of the law, and then when they don't want to be by the letter. Like Barry Bonds is a great example. I argue with people all the time. Barry Bonds is probably, even though King Griffey Jr. was my favorite player growing up, Barry Bonds is probably the greatest baseball player I've seen in my lifetime.
Who do you think?
Barry Bonds.
And I'm not, I'll wear my lids and shit, but I'm not a big baseball dude. Who do you think is a better baseball player, Barry Bonds or Pete Rose?
Barry Bonds.
Who gets more heat, better. Barry Bonds or Pete Rose?
Well, now Barry Bonds, because Pete Rose has been out of the limelight for so long. No, because of the recency. That's far more recent. Remember, Pete Rose got suspended.
I don't think it's about recency. Because if it was about recency, then Mark McGwire would be getting the same scrutiny that Barry Bonds does, but he doesn't.
Well, the reason Mark McGwire doesn't is because Mark McGwire bowed down and kissed the rings. That's really what it is. Barry Bonds, this I'm telling you, Will, this issue that Barry Bonds has had with the Writers Association dates back to his time in Pittsburgh. When he was a rookie, and Jim Leland, the manager at the time, even said it. When he was a rookie and he tried to be friendly with everybody and try to live up to the Bonds persona because his dad was known as a really good guy, the media was crushing him as a rookie because he struggled, like most rookies do. And when Bonds developed the persona, like, yo, you know what? Fuck that. I try to be nice to y'all. Y'all killing me in the papers every day. So I'm just going to go out there and play. And I don't need to be your friend because I'm just going to perform on the field. When Bonds took on that persona and then started winning MVPs, but kept that persona, he wouldn't grant interviews. He wouldn't kiss their ass. They turned on him. And now, because they have the power to vote him in, they're using that against him. Mark McGwire, who we know took steroids, who we saw do interviews with the protein shakes and all that in the background, what did he do? He tucked his tail. Hey, I'm sorry for disgracing the game. He kissed the rings. So they embrace him more. The same thing with Sammy Sosa. They embrace Sammy Sosa more because he bowed down to them. That's all it. Bonds refuses to bend knee.
But didn't Barry Bonds, like I said, I'm no baseball historian, but before there was even thoughts of him using steroids, if you look at his numbers before there was even any questions, isn't that one of the best baseball careers you've ever seen?
You by the numbers. I say that all the time. I say that all the time.
That's why I don't be trying to talk baseball, because I think it's so much more involved than just baseball.
No, I agree with you, Will. I'm not disputing that with you. I agree with you. Now, in terms of your original question about who gets more heat, yeah, it's Barry Bonds because again, that's more recent. What Pete Rose did, that happened in the 80s. So we are so far removed, and we are generations now removed from that a lot of people don't even remember why Pete Rose was banned from the game. Whereas the steroid issue was very recent. We're talking the steroid issue was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So people
But
still
what's even
debate
more
why
crazy, the Pete Rose issue was a more cut and dry rule. And like it was the line in the sand. This is what it was, period. Then when you get into the stuff with Barry Bonds and PEDs, well, this guy might be doing it. Oh yeah, he is doing it. He is doing it. Like remember, it was everybody was doing it.
And that's
Chicks
why I
love
said
chicks
baseball.
dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the long
Remember
ball.
that?
And that's why I say, yeah, of course I remember. And that's why I say Major League Baseball picks and chooses when they want to enforce by the letter of the law. What people never talk about is, right, they could debate all they want. Oh, Bonds isn't in the hall because of alleged steroid use, right? Okay, if that's what you want to use as your excuse, alleged steroid use, okay. Ivan Rodriguez, who was also in the Mitchell report, who failed a drug test, is in the Hall of Fame. Why did the voters vote him in? Why did the writers vote him in? Again, because he tucked his tail and he kissed the rings. Bonds refuses, even to this day, Bonds will say, I don't care if y'all vote me into the Hall of Fame. So the writers who are still sour that he never tried to develop a relationship with them are holding that over his head. But to your point, if whatever time frame anybody wants to say this is when Bonds started using steroids, anything prior to that, Bonds was already a Hall of Fame player. Bonds was already a three-time MVP, four-time MVP before the alleged steroid use. So you can't tell me Barry Bonds isn't one of the greatest players of all time. And there's a great meme that's floating around now. There's a guy who has a baseball page that talks about this all the time. Everybody is making a big deal about Shohei Ohtani's season, right? 50-50, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. Great year, he's probably going to be the MVP. Shohei Ohtani's numbers, right? When the dude broke down the list, he was like, this season that Ohtani's having, this would be considered the 11th best season that Bonds has ever had. That means Bonds had 10 seasons better than this. But y'all kissing Ohtani's ass as if y'all never seen this. Bonds was doing this on a consistent basis. Bonds was the first guy.
Well, that's because he's a pitcher.
He ain't pitched this year.
Oh, has he not? See, I don't be watching baseball.
No, I'm just saying he's been recovering from a shoulder injury, so he's been exclusive as a designated hitter. But my point is, they pick and choose when they want. Pete Rose should be in. Barry Bonds should be in. Cut it out. Let's stop acting. One of the biggest things I talk about too, Will, you let me know. If you disagree, you let me know. We as fans, we as spectators of the sports, all that good stuff, do we really care what's going on in your personal life?
In the athlete's personal life?
Yes.
Hell no.
Right. When you tune in to watch the game, you want to see the players perform at their best. You're not worried about if the dude and his wife been going at it. You don't care if he got a family member that's sick. You want to perform, right?
I don't even care about their contract.
Right. We don't care about none of that. We want you to perform. So let's stop acting like, oh, because a guy took PEDs, oh, now that's so just unholy for him to do. We don't. When these guys are playing with broken bones and limbs hanging and all this type of shit, nobody cares. Nobody cares what the recovery is.
Just perform.
Right. Just perform. When Ray Lewis came back for the Super Bowl that year, right after he hurt his shoulder, his bicep, it was oh look at Ray, what a leader to come back. But nobody cared what it probably took for him to get back to that point.
Nope. Nobody was checking for that.
Right. Nobody cared. And same thing with baseball. You said chicks dig the long ball. Nobody cared. When McGwire and them guys was hitting home runs and saving baseball, nobody cared. So let's stop acting like that's such a big deal now when it's time to vote guys in. That's a random rant.
RP Pete Rose.
RP Pete Rose, RP to Dikembe Mutombo. You mentioned Georgetown as well. I want to send a shout out to Patrick Ewing. I saw the news broke that he will be joining the Knicks front office as a brand ambassador and helping with their basketball operations department. It's a major move. I like that. I love during the playoff run, we got to see a lot of the Knicks greats sitting courtside as the Knicks played through their first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So now to bring Pat back in the fold, I think is amazing as well. It's long overdue.
That's fluff. Brand ambassador, for real? No, brand ambassador. No. He's gonna be the dude that when they have luncheons and shit, that they try to get people to come and sign up for $150 plates for a chance to meet Patrick Ewing.
That do that. They got guys that do that already.
But that's what he's brand ambassador.
I don't know.
You know who used to be the Wizards brand ambassador?
Who was that?
Let me tell you how serious the position of NBA brand ambassador is. You know who at one point was the Wizards brand ambassador?
Who was that?
Wale.
I mean, they was trying to, yeah.
Come on, dog.
I don't.
Brand ambassador is brand ambassador is you have some ties to the organization, and we need to put you on the flyers, and we need to put you on the email headers, and that's what a brand ambassador is. He's gonna be kissing babies and shaking hands.
Don't need that though. I don't know. I don't.
So what you think? What do you think a brand ambassador is? Do you think he's gonna be having any say on players? No. Any say on strategy? No. Any say on the way the team is run? No. It's a brand ambassador. The brand, not the team. The brand.
I think it's gonna be more than just him showing up. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts if you start seeing him more involved with like NBA Cares and being a representative for the Knicks and other areas. The Knicks don't need that, to be honest. Like the Knicks brand itself is doing well, so you don't need to bring Patrick Ewing in to like then drum up more money or drum up people who want to get more interested. The Knicks right now as an organization are hot, so you don't need Patrick Ewing for any of that. I think this is going to be more along the lines of like growing the game, being a guy who's part of NBA Cares now, being a guy who will probably be helping out with the expansion of the league. I think that's where he's going to fill in as kind of somebody who's representing the Knicks.
Patrick Ewing was an assistant in the NBA for what, 15 years at least?
For a while, yeah.
And didn't really get a real opportunity until he got the opportunity to coach his alma mater at Georgetown, right?
Yeah.
Which he was absolute garbage and a shitstorm. I mean, right? We keep it a buck on this show, right?
Right.
He was absolute garbage. So what are you really looking forward to? Besides the name Patrick Ewing being back in New York, like what's he bringing to the table?
So again, he'll work with NBA Cares. He'll be part of the expansion of the league because the league is going to expand. Him coaching and then him being a respected figure within the NBA are two separate things.
He's bringing them clunky ass sneakers back to New York. That's what else he bringing back. Them clunky ass.
I ain't gonna
RoboCop
let you trash
sneakers.
my man Pat. I ain't gonna let you trash my man Pat, man. He coming back. Hey. He doing some good work in the community, man. Shout out to Pat.
Good work. He handing out turkeys. All right, Pat. Welcome back.
He doing photo ops. He doing photo ops and turkeys.
Hell yeah.
Really quick, Will, before we get into the week 5 picks, I wanted to talk to you about last week because you know you had a good week last week.
Oh, did I? I don't be knowing, man. I just be talking shit. You know what I'm saying?
You last week, I got you down to 11-4.
Ooh, that is a good week. I should have. I should have paid closer attention. I'd have been more on my podium this week.
Last week, you were wrong about, let me see, I had it here. You were wrong about the Cardinals beating the Commanders. You were wrong about the Jets.
Okay.
You were wrong about, which other ones you had? What was the other? It was 2 other ones. I gotta look back at the message. But those are the 2 I remember for sure. The Cardinals and the Commanders, the Jets, But you did great on the Sunday night and the 2 Monday night. You swept the Sunday night and Monday night. You had those.
Nice.
You had the Chiefs last week. You had Vegas last week. What's the other one you missed last week? I'm trying to think. Oh, you had Pittsburgh. You had Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I think you had Green Bay last week. Those were the 4.
Yeah, I had Green Bay.
That was the 4. Other than that, though, you was hot.
That's all right. Like, I didn't even know that's what it was. I'm just like, all right, okay.
You had a great week. Now you and I want to revisit a conversation you and I was having because we were texting during that Chiefs Chargers game.
Okay.
I mean, I think the game pretty much went the way we thought. Competitive game. The Chiefs. I'm interested to see what they do this week because they're starting to slowly fall apart. The injuries are starting to mount up now. Now, obviously, Rashid Rice is probably going to be gone for significant time. I don't think they've announced yet how long he's officially out for. But
that looked like a season ender to me.
It did, but they're saying it might just be the MCL. So we'll see. But they haven't officially announced it. But obviously, Pacheco's been out.
I'm not worried about the running back room.
I'm a little.
They got options and answers in the running back room because first of all,
they brought in Kareem Hunt now. Yeah, now they bring in Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt is plug and play. He's plug and play. And now you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back. And people, y'all need to realize he was not injured.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't out because of an injury. He was out for PTSD.
Yeah, there was some other stuff going on there.
He was involved in a robbery, and either one of his friends was shot, or somebody that was around was shot. He's been dealing with the trauma of going through that experience. Like this whole time he's been out has not been football related at all. So a lot of people, y'all need, like, I know a lot of people don't understand that. They think he's been injured. Not his mind has been injured, but physically he should be ready to go. I mean, as soon as he gets back in football shape. So now you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back, who's going to get back in football shape. You got Kareem Hunt, who's plug and play, and you got the mind of Andy Reid. I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all. I'm really not. And I mean, they're not the sexy team anymore. You know, they're not. But you don't need to be sexy to win Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying?
No, you don't. I'm only thing I'm worried about with them is the injuries are starting to mount up, and we've seen this happen before. Like it's still early in the season. Well, your number one receiver is probably going to be done. For most of the season.
And you know what? It's kind of because I'm just some dastardly type dude. That's karma to me because I don't even think he should have been eligible to play. Hey,
well,
Mr.
No.
He shouldn't have been eligible. He shouldn't have been playing football this year anyway.
We had talked about we talked about it before, but yeah, he's out. And so again, you start the injuries slowly start to mount up. We'll see. They got a good game this week coming up against the Saints. I actually like the Saints getting the points. I don't think they win, but they're getting 7 points. I'm taking the points with the Saints there. But let's get back to that Chargers game. What did you see from the Chargers? How are you feeling about Harbaugh? Because I know when we were texting, I kind of felt like Harbaugh had a moment and he flinched.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
It was in that moment, and I know exactly the one you're talking about. Everything all his bravado and everything he was trying to stand on up until this point, from when he got hired to that point in the game, I think he flushed. Because if you were this dude, if you this hard-nosed dude that's supposed to be going for jugglers and all this other stuff, you still gonna play smart football. You still gonna play winning football. You still gonna be able to assess the talent that you have that's available to you. I'm still mad you even played Justin last week, coming off a high ankle sprain the prior week and going into a bye. I'm still mad about that. Like we're not trying to win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, I guess every team technically is, but I'm not willing to risk my franchise quarterback.
Right. You're saying realistically, you're not playing for Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. I'm not trying to risk my franchise quarterback in week 4
Mm-hmm.
with a high ankle sprain when I'm missing both my starting right tackles. I mean, my starting tackles, my right and my left. I didn't really see the advantage of playing him. And then when we were in position to win, when it came down to the spot where we needed to shit or get off the pot, you shit. You know what I'm saying? You didn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just a bad sequence of plays down the stretch where you really looked timid, where everything that you built up, everything you had me believing in going into that drive, not the game, that drive, I was believing in you until you all of a sudden tucked your tail. And that it had a real Brandon Staley feeling about it. I'm gonna go ahead and fall back and say, you know what I'm saying, we lost by 7. We lost by 7 to the defending Super Bowl undefeated champions. Plenty men down, pause, and maybe we can build from this. But it's just, don't tell me one thing and then show me another when it's really time to be about what you was trying to tell me about in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like don't tell me you hard and then tell somebody get in your face and then you be like, you got it, homie. You know what I'm saying? That's what it felt like.
I didn't understand, the moment we're talking about, it's about 13 minutes left in the game. The game is tied at 10. They get down there, they get inside the 10-yard line. They go for it on 4th down. You texted to me, but I was thinking it as well. If you're going to go for
4th and 1, by the way.
4th and 1. This better be a really good play call. Like you said, you're already down some linemen, and we know Herbert can't really move the way he normally does. And they don't try to play power football. They put Herbert back to throw the pass.
Zero protection.
Right. Again, the line is banged up. My quarterback is limited in his mobility. And on a 4th and 1, I'm not going to play power football. I'm going to pass the ball here. I didn't like it, though, from the standpoint of there was so much time left in the game. Take the 3.
Yes.
Take the 3.
You just gave your kicker one of the biggest deals in kicking history, but you left him on the sideline.
And the game, and it reminded me of one of the conversations you and I was having last week, where we were going back and forth on a penalty against the Chiefs against the Falcons, and we were saying, even though it's that one play, we know sometimes there's other plays and there's different momentum swings in the game. That was a prime example of a momentum swing because they don't take the 3. Then their defense comes out and gets a stop. So now you get the ball back again, still tied at 10. You could have been up 3, allowing your defense to give you a stop and then give you the ball back to try to get something going at that point. And then that changes all the play calling, because if now you're up 3 under 10 minutes to go, the Chiefs defense got to play you different now. Your play calling offensively is different now. So I thought Harbaugh did a bad job in that moment. And like you said, it really did remind me of a Brandon Staley type move, because it's like, there's so much time left in this quarter. Why are we playing this game already? We're going for it on 4th down. Take the 3. Take the 3. Like your defense, which has been playing good, to keep playing.
It's almost like head coaching is becoming like society is, where they are just thinking in the moment and not thinking, for the, like, that was your opportunity to dictate the game script.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead, you fall into what they're dictating, where you had the opportunity to take the reins and buck that you. You know what I'm saying? But it's everybody's so reactionary, and it's because of this. It's society. It boils down to society. It boils down to professionalism. It boils down to sports. It boils down to every aspect of what we're in right now and the world we're living in. It's like everybody is so, it's got to be right now. Oh, well, we got to make this decision right now. Like, think. You know what I mean? Think. There is time. let me go off the rails just a slight bit, just two wheels off the rails. So I'm in football season. All I do is watch football and binge watch TV shows because I don't want no other distractions really. So I'm on my The Wire rewatch about for the eighth time. When you watch The Wire and you see like how dudes was able to come up and the dudes that fell off, it was the dudes that thought ahead and saw the big picture are the ones that didn't end up in them vacants. Or the you know what I'm saying? Or the ones, you know what I'm saying, that didn't end up being, final episode, season 3, episode 8. You know what I'm saying? It was the dudes that thought ahead and saw the big picture. It's the same thing as far as like
All right.
look at Washington right now. Okay. So now every Washington somehow is the darling of the National Football League. They're like, okay, they got new ownership. They got a completely new coaching staff. They think they found their quarterback, and everything's in new. It's rainbows and fucking gumdrops right now, right? Because it's all fresh and it's a whole new look. But that does not. Now I'm not hating on them at all, okay? Because it can be sustained, but we've seen this before on several different franchises. It's when the higher up guys are you gonna start accepting the success of the people under you. You know what I'm saying? Because this is why Jerry Jones doesn't succeed.
Listen, you talked about Jerry Jones. I wanted to send you. You saw the video of him pulling up to practice in a helicopter.
Yeah.
That's a prime example. Like when we were talking about the other day about Coach Prime, that's why Jerry Jones would never hire Coach Prime, because Jerry wants to be. What the fuck are you doing, Jerry Jones? Pulling up to practice in a helicopter. You're just trying to steal all the attention away from the actual team. Oh, look at there goes the owner.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like when it's bigger than what's happening on the ground floor.
Yeah.
That's where, like, the Raiders, all those years the Raiders could have been good football teams.
Mm-hmm.
Davis was making it about him.
Right.
He was making it about the penthouse. Dallas, Jerry Jones makes it about the penthouse. You know what I'm saying? Now you kind of see a little bit of organizations starting to, trying to loosen up the reins a little bit. But still, it's not, to me, it's not organizational. It's about the talent of the players.
Mm-hmm.
It's about getting the selection of the players that you bring into your organization right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can have the same plan, but if you don't have if you don't have the guy that can do the same thing that this guy can do, then you're gonna fail. No matter what the plan is, it's gonna come down to ability.
Yeah. I mean, the organizations and the franchises that have been the most successful in the NFL are those where the owner is hands off, where the owner is allowing those to do their job. Like you said, it's not about me at the top. It's about having a good scouting department, having the best coaches, putting together the best facility to develop this talent. And so if you do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have an opportunity to be successful. It's the reason why the Texans have been able to turn it around so quick, right? Quality coaching, good scouting. We identifying talent. We're bringing in the guys we need. It's the reason why the Detroit Lions now have had the turnaround they had. Everything is focused on down there.
And to another point, you gotta let success look like us.
I think you gotta allow.
That's somewhere where these big corporations are missing. Is they still to this day they're not comfortable.
Well, I think you froze there. I think
with
Will
success looking like you.
Mm-hmm.
Are we good?
Yeah, yeah, I
They
got
don't
you.
want success looking like you. They don't want success looking like me. They want success looking like Kyle over here, or you know what I'm
You
saying,
know,
or
you know what's a prime
Tristan.
example of that? You know what's a
They
prime example?
don't want success looking like us, man.
No, that's you're one
And
thousand
that's
percent
gonna
correct.
always hold it back.
You know what's a prime example of that though? And this organization is still struggling to this day. Remember when the Jaguars wanted to hire Byron Leftwich, but they didn't want to bring in Adrian Wilson?
Dude, don't give me where is Byron?
I have no idea.
Don't even get me started because like 4 years ago, I was on the Byron Leftwich fast track to a head coaching opportunity train. Where is he now? Is he even coaching?
Let me see, man. I gotta look it up right now.
I mean, that's you just sent me right there. Like, damn, I forgot all about it. Because that's what they do to us. They just throw us under the rug and then get rid of us. Where the hell is Byron Leftwich?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a damn shame.
yeah, but I just think when we talked about examples, that's a prime example of that. Byron Leftwich was ready to go, be a head coach. He wanted a general manager that could relate to him and could understand him and kind of be tied to the general manager, which is the right thing to do, right? If I'm going to be coaching this team, I need a general manager who can understand what I'm looking for and can help me along the way. And we're kind of tied together. Not a guy who's going to save his ass for the sake of me losing my job. Shad Khan with the Jaguars didn't want to do that. The Jaguars ain't really looked good since he brought Doug Peterson in. They've been a mess. Even before that, they was a mess when what's his name? When Urban Meyer was down there.
And see, when you bring up Leftwich, he's a guy that should have those relationships, right?
Yeah.
Off experience. And he should also have not only those backdoor channel relationships, he has experience. He's been in the trenches. What a great example. Man, I'm so glad you brought him up. And I'm ashamed of myself for not bringing him up because that's a DC boy. Byron
Yeah, I
Leftwich,
don't know.
what happened to his name in the conversations?
Yeah, after he left
Yeah,
Tampa, like it's almost like he fell off the face of the earth.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I
See
mean,
now,
and
yeah, now
his guy.
I'm gonna need to start making some phone. I mean, not like I'm freaking Andy Katz or somebody. I mean, or you know what I'm saying? I'm like, but I need to start making some
Nah, that's a good
phone
question. We need to
calls.
find out
See what happened to
we need
him.
to find out what happened there because after he was let go by Tampa, it really like you would think he's a guy who orchestrated an offense that won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. I mean, because
Why isn't he on
yeah,
someone's staff?
you fucked me up with that one.
Hey man, let's get
What
to some picks
happened to?
before.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
No
But
man,
nah,
I
for
know
real,
my
I'm
man.
like, damn,
He
what
said, "Hold on,
happened to him? Huh?
he about a deep dive. We got to find out." We ain't got to go through all the picks because we got the picks scrolling across the bottom of the screen. But give me some of your favorite games for this
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
and then we're gonna get into a new final segment that you introducing this week. What's some of your favorite games this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the fucking the scroll. Hold on, let me look.
You got
All right, this week we got Vikes, Panthers, no, Ravens, Pats, no, Commanders, Bolt. Wait, Commanders, Browns.
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that one
I'm be
now,
honest.
because that's like splitting my demographic.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Yeah, I'm loving this game. So I'm I'm picking the Browns. I
You
mean, I'm
picked the
picking
Commanders.
the command.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Commanders because it's in Washington. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure. Yeah, dog. If they let Deshaun Watson come in there and beat them, then they are the same old damn Washington. But
I
if
I
they
think
go
that's
in
what's gonna
there
happen.
and beat their ass, I think they're gonna beat their ass. And then this is the new day for Washington. If Deshaun comes in, actually, what time is it? It's what's today? Friday.
9:30. Yep.
We need a 24-hour watch on Deshaun Watson to make sure because there's some parlors in DC. You know that might
what
be
what
that
they
might be the boost he needs.
they
He
more
might
than likely that's what how long is that flight? Pause. What's that? What's that
from
let you?
Cleveland to DC,
Yeah.
45, 50 minutes.
Yeah. They probably not
It's
flying
not even
into
an hour.
tomorrow. They probably not even flying into tomorrow because it's such a short flight.
Yes. So he gonna have so they gonna be ready for him when he gets to the room. And that might be the boost he needs. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I don't know what I sent to you on the scroll. I don't know what the line is. And I usually don't play the points, but it's probably about 2.5.
It's three and a
I'm
half.
gonna take 3.5. Man, give me the Browns, man.
I'm taking the Browns as well.
Give me the Browns, man.
Um,
Because I think one of them DC girls gonna put it on him, and it's
I'm
gonna
not this.
rejuvenate him.
I think, like I said, I don't know if he's gonna be in town long enough because they might get into town tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. Like I said, it's such a short flight. They don't need to be in town ahead of time. It's one of them where if they're smart, they'll probably fly in Saturday evening and just like low key. Nah, seriously, and get the game in and get on. But couple things. What you mentioned about now the Commanders are the darling, the media darling, because Jaden Daniels playing so well. That to me always lets me know shit's about to go left. Because whenever a young upstart team starts becoming like the headline, oh my God, look how it's looking out there in the nation's capital, then you already
I
know,
saw this before. That's what I'm like.
yeah, you
I'm
know
not
already.
hating because
And
I don't. You ain't seen me talk about them at all.
no, no.
But I've seen this before.
Also,
I've seen it in 2012. I saw it
this is
I
this
saw it
is
12 years ago.
this is an old school trap game for the Commanders because you know who they got next week? Commanders got the Ravens
Division.
next week. They got the
Ooh, the right.
Ravens.
Oh, and
So
the Washington does not leave Maryland until November.
yeah, yeah. So all the talk this week has been about that potential matchup with the Ravens. Jaden Daniels against Lamar Jackson. And if the Commanders win tomorrow, Sunday, they're 4-1. And all this good feeling. So it just lets me know this is when they have the letdown game. Also, normally with Cliff Kingsbury, you know how I feel about Cliff Kingsbury. This is right around the time when everybody starts to figure out the offense. The first couple of weeks, it used to happen in Arizona all the time. They get off to a high start. Nobody knows how to get stop Kyler Murray. By week 5, 6, 7, everybody figures it out. But the Browns are also desperate. The Browns got to win. If they lose this week, I think their season's over. I got them as my underdog pick of the week. Y'all off this week, right? Or y'all play? Y'all off this week, right? Chargers, y'all got the bye week.
Yeah, we off this week.
How you feel about these London? How you feel about these London games? Like, at what point is the NFL gonna cut this shit?
They expanded. They talking about now. I just heard last week from one of my sources. They are talking about like this dude like really is a source, like a source. Like he's in military. And when they start talking about this kind of stuff, it goes to the military first because of the protection.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about expanding to Australia and Australia and New Zealand for two more international games. You heard it here first. What's today's date? December 4th on Real Fans Real Talk. I mean, no, what's this? This is the Opinionated ones. They are talking about expanding to Australia and New Zealand for y'all don't gotta believe me. I missed the Opinionated one. And I be picking up information on the weirdest shit ever. Do you ever? But yo, watch.
I mean,
Watch.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't like that they do this in the middle of the season. If you want to start the season, like when they had those
No,
Friday
this is
games,
like a couple seasons away. But
I
this
know,
but
but what I'm
this
saying is, even with these London games, I'm kind of tired of the London games. Stop doing this shit in the middle of the season. If you want to start the season internationally, go for it. Start the season that way. But to me, to now week 5, Minnesota and the Jets got to go to London. Why are we doing this? Why are we forcing these type of games over in London? Start the season there. Opening week kickoff. Fuck that. Take it even a step further. Take a preseason game over there. But why we got guys going over there?
If the NFL expanded one game a season to Australia, would you go?
If the NFL
Ever?
expanded one game, no. Well,
Do you think
I mean,
do you think that's something just for Australian fans, or do you think the NFL is looking for people to travel?
they're looking to expand the game more than anything. That's really for the Australian fans. Now you'll have some diehards that have the money to go, but I mean, what we looking at, a 12-hour flight?
Shit, I don't even know. So if I could fly to Australia, that's like one country, or maybe it might be like 3 countries I'd go to, but Australia is definitely one of them because they speak English.
Yeah,
The
I would go
accent
there to
sexy as
visit.
hell.
I don't mind going there to visit. I ain't got no problem with that.
And I'm
I'm
not
just
going to
saying,
the Outback. I'm going to like Sydney or something. You know what I mean?
I just want to know
I'm
though
going to the city.
why the NFL is still trying to force this mid-season. Start the season at these places.
I don't think they're trying to force it now. I just think they're trying to now they have the attention back on their league. So now they're trying to say, hey, now later we can go to do this.
Cool, but start the
The
season there.
NFL, the NFL is we don't want to admit it, but the NFL is Satan.
I mean, the NFL at this point,
We're never gonna beat it. It's always gonna win. It's always gonna be the evil. The NFL is the
listen,
devil.
I I just feel like, well, I mean, at this point, we already know the NFL is trying to dominate the whole calendar because now the NFL, their off season is just as exciting as their regular season. They have our attention through the draft, through the combine, through all the off season moves. We got football now on Thursdays, Sundays, Mondays. We're about to have Saturdays. They already try to invade in Fridays, which Fridays for decades, you notice, was supposed to be safer because that's supposed to be high
Yo,
school football.
I was talking about this today, dog. That's the one. They still ain't getting Fridays
No, I heard. I don't know how
because
true this is.
because because of high schools. They're not getting Fridays.
I don't know how true this is because I did hear that one of the reasons the NFL has not gone to Fridays is the networks won't sign off on it.
You're not getting Friday night lights
So
over.
hold on. Hear me out though, right? Hear me out. So one of the things I heard was that the networks won't sign off on it, right? But that's why, if you look, they did open the night on a Friday because high school football hadn't started. So that was the one Friday they could sneak it in. That's going to start becoming a new norm.
But like I said at work today, the players you watch on Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night, they started on Friday nights.
Of course.
So if you
That's for
take that
everybody.
away, if you take that away, nah.
They
Friday
don't want
night
to.
is
They
going
don't
to
want
be
to.
for. If Friday night turns into something else other than high school football, it's going to be after I'm dead and gone because I don't see that happening at
No,
all
it's
in
not.
my
Like I
life.
said, it's not going to happen because the networks will never sign off on it because they know what that would do to a lot of these small towns. If you're from a small town where football is king on Friday nights, and the NFL start making you choose between watching a primetime Friday night game or going to them high school games, it's going to be a lot of issues. If you from a small town of Wisconsin,
Listen, see this. Let me stop you right there, real quick. It don't matter about small town. This whole state of Texas. Take
Texas,
away,
Florida,
take away high school football on fucking Friday night in
they
Texas
not. But
and see what happens.
that's the thing. They're not taking it away. They're forcing you to choose. There's a difference.
Between you honing your skills on this day or this day,
They're not
because
making.
that's what I
They're
mean.
not taking it away.
It's not just about exposure on a certain day. It's about the way things are done. And when it comes to, I mean, when you're talking about guys getting to the professional level of football, there is a certain way of doing it. You can't just do it your own way. You do have to follow a certain line and a certain hierarchy of doing things.
The NFL don't give a fuck about that. I'll
But
tell you right now, the NFL,
but the NFL might not. But how are you gonna get to the NFL if you don't do that?
the NFL don't give two fucks about that. The only thing that's stopping the NFL from invading Friday nights is that major networks are not going to sign off on it. That's the only thing that's stopping it. That's why I gave you the example that the NFL found a way to sneak in a Friday night this year. Why? Because they did it right before school started. So there was no high school football yet. If you look at opening weekend, that was right before Labor Day. So schools were not back in yet. Most schools, some places in the South were back in school, but the season had not started yet. So the
But it's still
networks
going to come
okay.
down to performance, though.
Hold on. The NFL don't care about that. The NFL don't care about what your performance is. They don't. The NFL does not give a fuck about what your performance is in high school. The NFL don't care about none of that. The NFL wants as many days on the calendar as they can get. For years, Will, you and I know this. For years, the NFL wouldn't go up against NBA on Christmas Day out of respect, understanding Christmas Day is normally NBA. Now, if Christmas falls on a Sunday, we ain't got no choice. We're gonna play games. But any other day of the week, we're not going to challenge Christmas because we know that's the NBA's day. But what the NFL's done the last 3 years, they forced multiple Christmas Day games. Knowing, even though the NBA got a full slate on Christmas, 5 games, the NFL said, fuck it, here go 3 from us. Now y'all choose which one y'all want to watch.
But they don't want a bunch of bums out there.
The NFL don't.
Which is what you're trying to like doing the give and take. Well, all right. Well, they'll be available, but they won't be good.
Yeah, but nobody's coming straight out of high school to the NFL. You still got 3 years of college. That's where your development take place. We're not worried about if we.
That's why you have to have that development.
The NFL don't care about that. Will they do not care?
Without the development, there will be no NFL.
The development is still there. Just because they broadcast on Friday night, that don't stop the development. Because if you a high school football player, what you gonna do? Oh, we're not playing games because the NFL on the night. No, you still gotta play. The difference is that your town is probably gonna be more locked in to that NFL game on Friday than they are your high school game. That's all that's gonna happen. The networks are the ones who are trying to be kind to the situation and saying we don't want to drown out the high school games. We don't want to have to force people to choose between the local broadcast of the high school game or this NFL game because we know 90% of the people going to tune into the NFL game. They'll keep an eye on the high school game. They'll have it on that secondary screen, but the NFL game is going to be king. That's why the NFL is trying to find ways to get that Friday now. They know, all right, if the networks aren't going to allow us to just do a full slate on a Friday, cool. We'll pick and choose moments. And I promise you, this ain't going to be the first time that the NFL does Friday. They're going to do Friday again next year. And when at the end of the season, because most high school seasons end right around Christmas break, those January games, the NFL is going to sneak in a Friday again.
NFL ain't doing Friday, bro.
Okay. They not full time, but they're going to sneak in Friday games.
No, they're not doing Friday night lights at all.
They just did a Friday to start the season.
Before high school football started, right?
Right, because the networks don't want it.
Before high school football started. That's what I'm saying. They not
Hold on.
NFL is not going against high school football, period.
Okay. Only because the networks are the ones pushing back.
Only because everybody that plays NFL football plays Friday Night Lights. And if you
Cool. And
take that
everybody
away
who
from
play,
them, then you're not going to have the
everybody
level on NFL
and
football. They're not
everybody and
going to.
everybody who
Friday
played in
night
the
lights will
NFL.
never go away.
I never said it's gonna go away. Well, you're changing the argument to fit your point.
No, I'm
My point
not.
still
I'm just.
remains because you're saying Friday night football won't go away. I never said it's gonna go away. I never once said Friday night lights and high school football on a Friday night is gonna go away. I never said that. What I'm saying to you is the NFL is gonna still find a way to get to that day. Are they gonna be able to broadcast 16 Fridays? No, they're not gonna do 16 Fridays. But they're gonna find a way to get one or two of those. The same way that they finding ways to get Saturday games in now. The same way if you're gonna use the argument, oh, everybody who's in the NFL play high school, everybody who in the NFL play college. That ain't stopping the NFL from broadcasting on Saturdays against college games. The NFL is trying to get as many days as they can get. Well, when you come back, we're gonna go over some of these other games. I got who we got here on that I like on this one right here. Shout out to Trey Matter as well. I agree with you. I'm not going all the way out there to Australia, one of them places.
Man, look,
One or two games, I think they should do it.
you really don't think that has an impact on the college game?
That NFL plays on Saturdays?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it has any impact on a college game.
Okay. All right.
Do
not
you
on
think,
Fridays either. And not on Fridays with high school football.
I don't think it has any impact on it because the two are completely different things. The NFL is not saying don't watch college football. The NFL isn't saying don't watch high school football. The NFL is just saying that we have the stars to market to you no matter what day of the week it is. That's all it's saying. It's no different than when the NBA is playing on a Tuesday night and there's college basketball on a Tuesday night. The NBA ain't saying, oh, well, we shouldn't do this Tuesday night because Duke is playing tonight. The NBA is saying, no, this is our schedule and we playing tonight. And if you're a fan of Duke, you're probably going to tune into Duke and maybe you don't watch this NBA game. But for the most part, if I put the right stars on the TV tonight, you're going to tune in. You're a fan of Maryland, right?
Is there a high school night for college basketball? No.
Is there? Well, hold on. You said is that high school night for college?
For high school basketball,
No.
Is there a high school night for high school football?
For the most part, yeah, Fridays.
Traditionally, nationally, everywhere.
Traditionally, no, not every, because I know some people that have had games on Saturdays. I know some people who've had games middle of the week, depending on how you're scheduling and the conference and the division you play.
Based on
now, Friday,
for the most
Friday,
part,
hold on.
For the most part,
That's what I said. For the most
Friday
part,
and Saturday
Friday,
is for high school football.
Correct. Yes.
And for the most part, Friday night is for high school football.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how can we mix in college football? It's like the high school football is what gets you to college football, right?
All right, so even tonight, right? Across the country, there are high school football games either playing or just finished, right? Because it's about to be 10 o'clock. If you're on the West Coast, the games are just starting, right? Is there not college football on tonight?
Yeah.
There's ranked college football teams playing tonight. How is that affecting the high school game? It's not. If you're a fan of that college team or somebody who's on that team, you're gonna watch. Will, you're making it seem as if I'm saying high school football is gonna die.
How do you stop the college teams? Who do you stop the college teams with? Where are these players coming from?
High school.
And they're picking their colleges based off what? What happens on Friday nights?
Okay. So you telling me the NFL wouldn't do Friday nights just because it's gonna offend people?
I'm saying the NFL will never do Friday nights because of high school and college. They can't do every night. If the NFL started doing games on Friday nights, football would be fucked. It's no way you can have NFL games on Friday nights.
I mean, they
Because
just did it a couple weeks
when are you
ago.
playing the high school games? When are you playing the high school games?
And that is
So
not the
when
NFL's
are these
concern.
dudes getting when are they getting their games ready to play professional football?
What does that have to, one
If
has nothing
you're
to do with the
taking away
other.
their weeknights, if you're taking away everything they've
Who's
done,
taking away
what nights
who's
of the
taking
week are
away
they supposed to
weeknights?
play, dog?
What Will, how does one
You
have anything to
are.
do with the other? Who
If
how
you
does
want
one
pro
have
games
anything
on
to do with
Friday
the
nights,
other?
when the fuck are they supposed to play?
The high school kids are still gonna play. It doesn't matter that the pro game is on. You're
No,
making it seem as if
that's
like you're making it seem
that's
like, oh, they
dog. You are tripping. How
how am I
how
tripping?
can you
It's a fact.
how can you get real games in when your children are playing the same nights you are?
What okay. What the fuck does that have to
No,
do with
it's
the
not.
NFL?
Yeah, okay. It's like, wait, what are you talking
Hold
about?
on. How many realistically, most guys in
So
the
you
NFL right
want
now can't.
so the way
hold on.
you
You still hold
talking
on, hold
is
on, hold on. No, no,
everybody
no,
should
no, no,
play
no, no, no,
tonight.
no, 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 no,
Everybody
no,
should
no.
play
Hold
tonight.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Everybody
no, no,
play
no.
on Friday night.
Hold on. Because you just said some wild shit. You said, how am I supposed to play and get my kids ready to play? Most guys in the NFL, kids ain't in high school.
But guess what?
If
Most
you
guys
hold
in
on,
the
no, no,
NFL,
no, no, no. Who's the
hey,
oldest?
no,
Hold on.
no.
Time out,
But
time out, time
most
out,
guys
time
in
out,
the NFL,
time out, time
most
out,
guys
time
in the
out,
NFL,
time out.
if
No, no,
their
no, no,
sons
no.
are playing, they playing Thursday or Friday and not the same day they are.
That don't change nothing because most of them guys got to get ready to get on the road on Friday anyway. You think the NFL, oh my God, the NFL is going to stop because people have families. The NFL don't give a fuck. The NFL does not give a fuck that, oh, you got a kid that's playing Friday? Cool, figure that out. What that got to do with us? You think that, hold on. So the Jets and the Vikings are going to London. They probably been there earlier this week. You think if Aaron Rodgers, who's the oldest player in the league, right, at 40 years old, say, hey, my kid got a game this week. I think I want to try to make it to that game. All right, so figure that out. That ain't going to stop us from going to London. Like, we acting like the NFL at any point has ever cared about any of these things. It's a business. The NFL is going to do, I think you froze. The NFL is going to do what's in the best interest of the business. Nobody's saying that Friday Night Lights is going to disappear. Nobody's saying that we never going, oh, it's going to ruin high school football. The two things are not the same. Will, let me know if you're able to get back in. The two things are not the same. The NFL could care less. The networks are the ones that are not pushing for Friday games. That's the only reason the NFL isn't trying to push that issue either. The networks have already said we're not going to do that. But the NFL found a loophole. What did they do? They played a Friday game before high school football season started. That's the loophole. But Friday night football, though it for most people is exclusively high school, that ain't gonna stop nobody else from running their business. The same way college runs games on Friday night. That ain't stopping nothing. It is what it is. Well, I'm gonna give you a few minutes. Let me know. Get back in the live if you're able to. If not, I'm gonna start wrapping up. Couple games that I like this weekend though. Let me put my picks back up there as well. That way you guys can see them. Will, let me know. Like I said, shoot me a message. Let me know what's going on. Be able to get back into the live. I like a lot of underdogs this week. Jets, Vikings in London. I like the Jets getting the 2.5 points. Vikings are a good team, but those London games are a little wacky. You never know what's going to happen there. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets go over there, find a way to keep it close, even win that game. I got the Jaguars -3 against the Colts. The Colts are banged up. No Jonathan Taylor. Anthony Richardson looks like he's going to be out. And then Ryan Kelly, their center, was out last week. They're not sure if he's going to be back this week. Joe Flacco can sustain some things and be okay. We saw that last week. But I just think without the running game and missing your center makes it very difficult to win that game against a desperate Jaguars team. Will's having trouble getting back in. I'm going to start wrapping up here. He just sent me a message. What else we had on there? Bengals +2.5. The Bengals taking on who the Bengals got? I had them at +2.5. Am I missing again? Oh, against the Ravens. I like the Bengals in that spot. The Ravens, again, situation, they've been very up and down. I think the Bengals are starting to get it going. I think the Bengals cover the 2.5, keep it close. Also, Justin Tucker has not kicked well this year. Something to keep an eye on if that's a close game. The Pats, I like them getting 1 point. The Dolphins are a mess. I know Huntley's getting a second week start, but they can't throw the ball down the field. They haven't been able to run the ball. The Pat defense is pretty strong, so I like the pass there. I've already said the Browns, I expect them to not only cover the 3.5 against the Commanders, I think they actually beat the Commanders this week. So that's one of my upset picks for the week. Bills, Texans, it's pretty much a pick 'em. The line has it at 1. I'm going to take Buffalo. I don't like what I've seen from the Texans. Offense, start and stop, a little stagnant, though maybe Diggs gets it going against his former team. My man said Jaguars on Travis Hunter race. Yeah, Dolphins season is over. I agree with you, Earl. I think it's done. They're another team that's paying attention to the Shador sweepstakes. Where we at? Like I said, Bills, I think, win in Houston. Panthers, Bears -4.5. I'm -4, sorry. I like the Bears to cover this. The Panthers aren't a good team. I'm not making much of what they did 2 weeks ago. The Bears, on the other hand, if you tuned into the show, I said from the start of the season, by week 4, week 5 is when this offense was going to start getting going. This part is kind of a soft spot of the schedule. I expect Caleb to have a good week this week against a very bad Panthers defense. The Bears win there. Raiders, I like them +3 at Denver. Denver hasn't done anything offensively. Their defense has carried them. I think this week the offensive struggles continue for Bo Nix and those guys. So I like the Raiders. They're getting the 3 points. I would take the 3 points there just because, again, Denver hasn't shown me anything offensively to make me think that they can win decisively if they do win. So therefore, take the points. Cardinals at 49ers. This is a tricky line. The Cardinals' record is bad. Everybody's going to be on the 49ers. -7.5, I think, is too high. No Christian McCaffrey. Debo and Kittle are still banged up. I like the Cardinals to keep this game close. 7.5 is a little high for me. I think the 49ers win, but I would take the points with the Cardinals there. Packers at Rams. Packers -3. They win. The Rams are another team that's really banged up. Obviously, we know about the receivers being out right now. That defense is shaky. Jordan Love last week. I don't think we should make much of that. Minnesota's a really good team with a really good defense. That was Jordan Love's first game back after missing a couple weeks. I think Green Bay gets right this week. Giants at Seattle. Seattle -7. Giants, Daniel Jones specifically, does not travel well. Seattle's a good team. Don't get fooled by what happened on Monday night. They played a better team, but Seattle's going to win at home. Always tough to win there. And the Giants historically have always had trouble winning in Seattle. Cowboys at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh -2.5. I would take the Cowboys points. I think we saw last week what the Steelers are. They're going to struggle offensively. Getting the 20 points is tough for them. And this might be another week where they fall behind early and got to play catch up. So I don't like that for them. And then the Saints, Kansas City on Monday night. I'm taking the Saints getting the 5.5 points. I think the Chiefs will win. But I highlighted earlier, the Chiefs are a little bit banged up. Number 1 receiver out. They're down to like their 3rd and 4th string running back. Though they can perform, it's a different offense. And you wonder how they're going to handle blitz schemes, having running backs that have just really got into that meeting room. So I would expect the Chiefs to win. But the Chiefs recently, and really dating back to the last year and a half, they struggle to cover spreads. So I don't think this would be any different. There's a Saints team that can put up some points too. So I think the 5.5 is a little high. I would take the Saints and the points, but we'll see how it plays out. Shout out to my brother Will Gordon. He's having some tough technical difficulties trying to get back on the live. But we're going to be back again next week. Again, Friday Night Live, 8:30 p.m. next week. We'll have the Week 6 picks, as well as anything that's going on in sports. If you missed the beginning of the show, tune back in, rewind it, go back. I gave you guys my baseball predictions we got on there. And we'll have more baseball talk. And then I'll be back on Sunday with my brother Trip Young as we give you guys a recap of this week in sports. But again, I am Eric Sanchez. Shout out to my brother Will Gordon. We are the Opinionated Ones as part of the Sanchez Show. We out of here, man. We'll see you guys next week.